to take sports to a whole nother level. Watch the damn tape or you dance with the devil. Get on our level when it comes to the sports. Football field or the basketball court. And on the baseball diamond we shining. Watch the damn tape, keep it rewinding. For the latest news you can use. Watch the damn tape, you can't lose. Welcome to Watch the Damn Tape. I'm the Beat Chef. TU Campus Radio, TUCampusRadio.com. Let's get into that game yesterday afternoon between the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs pull off the win 35-24, led by Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes balled out. Pat Mahomes did what I told you last week that Lamar Jackson should have done. When Lamar Jackson couldn't use his legs, you had to kill him with the arm. Pat Mahomes did it with his legs, kept the run game open, and then it opened up the pass game for him. They kept the Titans off balance the entire game yesterday. The entire game. I mean, Mahomes, the touchdown that he ran, it was a slower version of Lamar Jackson when he did his spin into the end zone. He broke to the sideline and then cut it back up and spinned and landed in the end zone and was throwing darts all night. They had everything cooking. Even Damian Williams, with his few contributions in the run game, he didn't average a bunch. I think he averaged like 2.6 yards a carry. But, I mean, the play action that they did and the catches that he came out of the backfield with, he had like 5 catches for 44 yards. And then, he had a little bit running. Had like 45 yards rushing. I mean, that's a good game. That's a decent game for a back in that system in the Andy Reid's West Coast offense. But Pat Mahomes had 53. His longest run was 27. Pat Mahomes almost had as many yards as Derrick Henry. And at the beginning of the game, Tennessee looked like they had the formula. They were throwing the ball. Tannehill hit A.J. Brown for a nice shot, 37 yards on the opening drive, and they took it to Kansas City. Had Kansas City off balance. Henry was averaging 9.3 to start the game. And it looked like it was going to be another one of those games like they did against Baltimore. They looked like they were going to keep Mahomes off the field and they were going to do ground and pound, and Ryan Tannehill was going to throw some passes and keep them off balance. And then something in that second quarter flipped and Tennessee changed the script and Kansas City sold out on the run and said, Derrick Henry, not today. We're not going to allow you to bully us like you did the other teams in the playoffs. And they succeeded. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu, I think he led the team in tackles. Yeah, he did lead the team in tackles. Yeah, he had 9. He had 9 tackles, 6 solo. And Daniel Sorensen coming in for Juan Thornhill, he had a good game. Had a real good game. Had a pass defense. Had 8 tackles. Former Cowboy Damian Wilson, who really doesn't get a whole lot of praise, he had 7 tackles. Anthony Hitchens, another former Cowboy, had 4. They were flying to the ball and they were gang tackling Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry wasn't getting to the second level. I think Derrick Henry had 7 yards rushing in the second half. The Chiefs came into that game with the mindset, Derrick Henry, you're not going to do it today. Ryan Tannehill, if you throw for 500 yards and we lose, then we'll go down that way. But we don't think you can beat us with your arm. And it was wild because the game was so close. And Tennessee could have actually still ran their offense. I mean, at one point it was 21-17, and Tennessee was still there. They could have ran their offense. I thought it was real peculiar that at a certain times in the game, there would be one play ran and Derrick Henry would be off the field. I didn't understand that. I still need to go back and watch the game again, but it was just weird watching it. And they would run one pass play, and the next play he'd be out. Or they'd do one run, and then Derrick Henry would be out the next play. And they would always be in a third down, and that third down killed them yesterday. Not converting thirds, not keeping drives going, especially in the third quarter. Kansas City had the ball for a good bit of time to start the third quarter. They drove down the field. I think they punted because the third quarter was terrible. But Kansas, they held the ball and they mixed up the run and the pass. And it was one thing that was real good. Passes weren't hitting the ground, so that clock was steadily running. So it was just like the Titans' ball control offense from the week before. So the clock ran. They didn't score. They punted. Tennessee got the ball, did a little drive, and they punted. Kansas got the ball back, started driving. It went into the fourth quarter. Bam, touchdown. Kansas City had the ball in the third and carried it into the fourth and scored at the top of the fourth. And they went up 28-17. I knew it was over right then. The Titans didn't have enough on offense to keep up with Kansas City. And by that time, Kansas City had truly got into that groove, and it was going to get ugly. They were mixing the run. They were running up the middle, and they were getting 2 and 3 yards here, 3 yards here. They'd bust outside. They kept doing that misdirection. They ran that misdirection all first quarter. They'd give it to Hardeman, or they'd give it to Williams, and he'd run that sweep, and they'd get big yards. When the second half came, they kept doing the same thing, or they'd fake it. He'd hit a back out the backfield, or he'd hit a tight end. I mean, they were working every angle of the Titans defense. Going at safeties. And it seems like everybody was picking on Byard, Kevin Byard, number 31. They were working their whole entire defense. But Pat Mahomes is the real deal. He is the real deal. And he's got that offense mastered. And they could have really throttled the Titans yesterday. But down the stretch, they played it safe. They kept the clock running, and came out with the win. And they're going to the Super Bowl. Going to the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes, 23 of 35, 65% for 294 yards. 8.4 yards an attempt, 3 touchdowns, no picks. No picks in the whole playoffs. No interceptions. What a 120 QB rating for those that like analytics. But if you look at Ryan Tannehill's stat line, it's real misleading. 21 of 31, 67% for 209, 2 touchdowns, and a 108. but he didn't do enough in the game. He didn't do enough to help Derrick Henry. I don't know what happened to their coaching staff, but there was times when they should have ran, and there was times that they should have passed. And I felt coming into the game, when it's the playoffs and you have an identity, you have to come out of your identity to a certain extent to give the other team something else to think about. Everybody and their mama knew that you were going to come into that game and run. All you had to do was open up the passing like they did on the first drive to A.J. Brown and give Kansas City something different to think about. They did it that one drive, and then they went away from it, and they tried to get cute. Like I said earlier, they had Dion Lewis in the game a couple times. I didn't understand that. I don't know if Derrick Henry was banged up or something from the previous game against the Ravens, but it just didn't look like Derrick Henry. There wasn't the cutting back and going against the grain and breaking long runs. Even getting the yards they was getting, they didn't do the play action like they did the week before. They weren't utilizing Corey Davis and A.J. Brown like they did against the Ravens. It was real weird. But sometimes, coaches, they get into a shell when they get down by a certain percentage or a certain amount of points or whatever, and they come out of their game plan. But when they were down 21-17, I still felt, hey, you can run your offense. You got a whole half. You can run your offense, and it's still like the game. To me, when it was 21-17, it was really tied. And Tennessee could have ran their offense, mixed up the pass and the run, and got it and kept it close. But once they allowed Kansas City to get into a groove and go up, there was no way that ball control offense was going to come back and win that game against the Chiefs. Thanks for listening. This is just a brief recap of the Chiefs-Titans game. I'll catch you next time. Watch the damn tape. TU Campus Radio. TUCampusRadio.com. I'm the Beat Chef. Peace. We're about to take sports to a whole nother level. Watch the damn tape or you dance with the devil. Get on our level when it comes to the sports. Football field or the basketball court. And on the baseball diamond we shining. Watch the damn tape. Keep it rewinding. For the latest news you can use. Watch the damn tape. You can't lose.